There we go. Call into order the regular meeting of City Council, March 18th, 2025. Hope we know the year. Roll call.
Councilmember Ball,
Here.
Councilmember Starbuck,
Present.
Councilmember Bridge,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Victor Vega,
Here.
Mayor James Mosby.
Present. We have invocation tonight. Travis? Okay, very good. Please stand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Lord God, we thank you tonight. We thank you because you are the eternal creator of the universe, and yet you care for us. You are bigger than we can imagine, and we are smaller than we like to think. And yet you invite us to partner in your work to bless this world. So we thank you, God. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for the gift of this city, for the place we love and the people that give it life. We thank you for the blessing that Lompoc is to each of us, and we thank you for the privilege of meeting together to steward that blessing well, so that more and more people might be blessed. God, we thank you today especially for the people who serve this city so well, for our police and firefighters and city staff. Thank you for their hard work and for their commitment to our community. We thank you for our leaders, for this city council, for our mayor, for our city manager, and for all of the community leaders that you have trusted to guide and direct Lompoc and its people. Thank you for the way they pour themselves into the city, and we pray your protection and peace over all these people and their families. God, today we pray for the people of Lompoc. May you grant rest to those who are weary and peace to those who are worried. Protect the vulnerable and heal the sick. Humble the proud and exalt the humble. Correct those who are wrong and bring justice to evil. Provide for those in need. And God, we ask that you help us to help them. Use us to help them. Make our city to be a place of reconciliation, love, and hope. And Lord, we ask your wisdom over this meeting tonight. May you guide our thoughts and orient our hearts. God, I confess that we often fail to love you and we often fail to love each other. Sometimes we are more concerned about preserving ourselves than blessing others. And sometimes sometimes our motivations and our actions surprise even us. So God, we ask your forgiveness and mercy, and we ask that you change our hearts so that we can faithfully do the work that you have called us to do. Expose our motivations and correct our assumptions so that your will be done and not ours. Guide this meeting so that the decisions that we make here will both steward Lompoc's resources and bless its people that you dearly love. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So I have a presentation. Who's accepting the presentation tonight? From AUW? Yeah? Hello. Short little thing, isn't it? Where's Bill? Right here? Are you all with AUW?
We are.
Yeah? Did you guys want to say anything first before I give it?
Well, I'd like to say something.
Okay, we'll let you say afterwards. All right. It's a proclamation for Women's History Month and Equal Pay Day. We combined two into one here. Whereas the National Women's History Month theme for 2025 is moving forward together, women educating inspired generations, and whereas this theme celebrates and the collective strength, equality, and influence of women who have dedicated their lives to education, mentorship, and leadership, shaping the minds and futures of all generations, And whereas education has always been a powerful catalyst for change, and women have been in the forefront driving this transformation, and whereas it is crucial to recognize the achievements and contributions of women educators, mentors, and leaders to motivate all generations to pursue education and leadership roles, and whereas women have been instrumental in shaping societies, breaking barriers, and building bridges, yet continue to be paid less than their male counterparts, except in the city of Lompoc. I did check on that today to make sure we were good, and Human Service Director, he told me, there he is, we're good to go in Lompoc with that, so we're equal pay here at the city, so we're good here. More than 6 years after passage of the Equal Pay Act, women, especially minority women, continue to suffer the consequences of unequal pay, and whereas 4 in 10 mothers are primary breadwinners in their households, and nearly 2/3 are primary or significant earners, making pay equity critical to families' economic security. Equal Pay Day 2025 marks the current state of gender pay gap for women, 83% of full-time, year-round workers, and 75% for all workers, including part-time and seasonal. And whereas the Lompoc Vanderbridge branch of American Association of University Women is dedicated to fulfilling the mission of lifting up the lives of females through recognizing the importance of education, equal pay, and by celebrating all the women educating inspired generations in our community and throughout the United States and the world. And we're almost done. Whereas the city of Lompoc recognized that there is a nationwide pay gap and is to be credited for its transparency in publishing the pay scale for city employees, and it stands with the AAUW and others like organizations in encouraging that the wage gap in all businesses and institutions in the city is closed across the board. Now therefore I, Jim Mosby, Mayor of the City of Lompoc, California, proclaim March 2025 as Women's History Month, and this day, March 18th, 2025, is Equal Pay Day in the City of Lompoc, and recognize the work for the American Association of University Women, Lompoc Vanderbilt branch, in improving the lives of females for 60 years and therefore strengthening Lompoc and the society as a whole. In a witness thereto, I have set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Lompoc caused on this day.
That must be the good. That was a long one.
Thank you. My name is Kay Duffy Taylor, and I am the 2024-2025 co-president, along with Lucy Tomes Harrington, of the Lompoc Vanderbilt branch of the American Association of University Women. On behalf of myself, our board, and our members, many of whom are here with us tonight, we would like to thank you, Mayor Mosby, City Councilman Bridge, Vega, Starbuck, and Ball, for your work on behalf of our community and for this very important proclamation recognizing Women's History Month and Equal Pay Day. American Association of University Women is a nonpartisan organization open to all genders and to all who believe in our vision, which is equity for all. We are committed to improving the lives of women and girls in our communities through education, research, and advocacy. The history of AAUW is wrapped up in Women's History Month. Our organization was founded in 1881 by 5 women who graduated from the University of Syracuse in New York. At that time, it was uncommon and almost unheard of that women would graduate from college. And these 5 women decided that it was time to change that. They banded together and worked as one to create opportunities and increased education access for women and girls. That's how this organization was founded. And those 5 founders went on to become instrumental in the women's suffragette movement that fought for and earned the right for women to vote in 1920. AAUW is a funder of education and research. One of the first awardees was Madame Curie, who received for her work with radium, where she was awarded a fellowship from the predecessor organization of AAUW, and she went on to become one of the first female women to be awarded the Nobel Prize. AAUW has worked tirelessly to ensure equal pay for equal work. Our data from the AAUW 2025 Pay Gender Gap Report shows that when adjusted for full-time, part-time, and seasonal work, when compared to their male counterparts, white women earn 73 cents on every dollar that a man earns. And for women of color, it's even worse. For Black women, it is 65 cents on a dollar, and for Latina and Native American women, it is 51 and 52 cents, respectively. That must change for the good of society and the good of our economy. Tied in with this is Title IX, a landmark federal law that protects and prevents discrimination on the basis of sex in educational institutions. Because the legislation requires schools to ensure that their policies and practices ensure equal access, it affects everything from admissions and athletics to STEM training and sexual harassment policies. Title IX has enabled women to be full participants in sports. I would like to recognize some of the beneficiaries of Title IX who are here with us tonight. Here tonight is Lompoc High School Athletic Director Claudia Terrones. Please stand. Claudia is one of a very small percentage of female athletic directors, and she has brought with her female student athletes from Lompoc High School. Thank you, Claudia, for your work and leadership of these women. Would you like to introduce what sports are represented here tonight?
Yes, okay, I'll start here. This is Tessa Terrones. She participates in flag football, basketball, and softball. This is Tiana Terrones, who also participates in flag football and golf, and softball and basketball. We have Hallie Sager, who participates in golf, basketball, and swim. We have Tara Terrones, who participates in golf, flag football, basketball, and track. We have Lauren Hernandez, who also participates in basketball. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you again for this tremendous honor, and we pledge to continue to fight for pay equity in every part of our community. Thank you.
City manager report. Oh, we got another presentation. Oh, never mind. Chamber of Commerce. How could we miss that? That's what everybody's here for, the Chamber of Commerce report, right?
Good evening, Mayor Mosby, council members, and community members. My name is Davika Stalling. I am the president and CEO for the Lompoc Valley Chamber, here to give our annual report, and I will be reporting on January through December of 2024. Put all the boring stuff at the beginning. All right, so the areas that I'll be reporting on are per our contract with the City of Lompoc. And first, we have our visitor traffic information. Number of walk-ins, average 5 to 7, with an annual average of 312. Number of telephone calls, average of 7 per day, which equals out to about 1,820. And then our visitor and relocation packets, we distributed 47 visitor packets mailed through direct request of potential visitors, which increases during the time of our launches, of course. And then 278 visitor packets mailed as a result of California road trip ads, 115 distributed to Vandenberg Space Force Base, and 47 information requests sent via email direct request. Website analytics, to the right kind of tells you what page hits are versus unique visitors, and it gives our numbers throughout the year. Would you guys like me to go through each one, or just viewing them is fine? Okay. And then through our social media, I calculated the increase from last year to the previous year, so you'll see there's an increase in both our Instagram and Facebook social media posts and interactions. And then we have a list of our 2024 community engagements events, which most are per our contract with the City of Lompoc, but lists all of our community engagement events that we do overall throughout the year. That includes Lompoc Restaurant Week, State of Vandenberg Space Force Base, State of the City, Summer Old Town Market, Annual Community Award Banquet, Scarecrow Contest, and Vandenberg Space Force Base Military Affairs Appreciation Barbecue, Old Town Trick or Treat, Small Business Saturday, and Vandenberg Space Force Base Kids Christmas. This highlights the overall attendance of last year's Old Town Market with over 60-plus local vendors, nonprofits, and community-based organizations that participated weekly. This community engagement increased foot traffic, revenue for surrounding small businesses, fostered community relationships, and awareness of community resources. We increased sponsorship opportunities and engagement for local businesses and organizations within our community. This event also highlights local artists through live entertainment opportunities, continues to establish a sense of community, and overall attendance for last year was an upward of about 5,000. Then moving on to our annual awards banquet. This is in which we highlight our Man and Woman of the Year, and these are nominations that are done through the community. So last year's winner for our New Business Award was Cold Coast Brewing Company. Our Man of the Year was Brian Jaramillo from Lompoc Unified School District. Woman of the Year was Miss Yasmin Dawson from C4 Collective. Laura Garcia received the Small Business Excellence Award for Garcia Dance Studio. And our Chamber Volunteer of the Year was a Lompoc High School student, Ava Velasco. And this is just some snippets from our annual Military Affairs Appreciation Barbecue that is put on by our Military Affairs Committee and is sponsored by Explore Lompoc. This is a day that we go out on the base and feed all the airmen and women as a sign of appreciation for their service. A little highlights from our Scarecrow competition, as well as our one-day Old Town Trick or Treat event, which has increased attendance over the last 2 years for that. And then our advocacy and government affairs. In collaboration with Cal Chamber, we joined several coalitions and signed over 19 bills with state government and provided letters of support for small business community, partnered with local organizations to support grant opportunities and expand services within the Lompoc community. And some of the people are listed: City of Lompoc, Gateway Education, and LUSD, Lompoc Adult Ed. And then our member support and networking, we hosted 7 ribbon cuttings, which celebrated either new businesses or acknowledgements of milestones, such as anniversaries, and then 3 small business workshops and 4 chamber business after-hour mixers. And those are some snapshots from our Vandenberg Space Force Base Operation Kid Christmas, in which we partner with other local small business owners, and we host a room at Vandenberg, and it's an event put on for children on base who either have one or more deployed parent and or are special needs. Overall, in 2024, we had 21 new chamber members that are all listed there. And these are our 2025 upcoming events. So on the 24th, we have State of the City. On May 16th, we will have our Leadership Lompoc Valley graduation, which is open to the public. We have our annual banquet registration, which will begin July 21st. Old Town Market this year is set for July 11th through August 9th. We have not set a date for our Military Affairs Appreciation Barbecue this year. Old Town Trick or Treat will be on October 25th, Small Business Saturday, November 30th, and we do not have a date set for our Vandenberg Operation Kid Christmas as of yet. And for our Economic Development and Retail Activity Report, I will now turn it over to our Board Chair, Chuck Mattson.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. In our report, we've included our most recent Retail Strategies Activity Report for your review. Retail Strategies continues to drive positive interest towards the city of Lompoc. Throughout 2024, they attended 3 industry conferences, which allowed them to highlight our city, and conducted outreach to over 40 retailers, which yielded market interest from 6 national retail brands. They have maintained ongoing conversations with these prospects, providing them with key data, demographics, and potential site opportunities, and continue to actively engage with developers in the region to connect them with opportunities in the market and ensure Lompoc remains top of their mind. They have been working with ongoing businesses as these retailers progress towards construction and development. A national coffee chain flagged the market and the site for this retailer in 2022, and they are currently in negotiations. In the Palm Square Center, they are collaborating with the developer and owner to attract new retailers to the center. North 8th Street, actively promoting several redevelopment opportunities along North 8th Street to retailers while providing support to the developer throughout the process. They've worked with these interested retailers to match them with suitable sites by understanding their needs and preferences: a Mexican fast casual restaurant, a sandwich user, chicken fast casual restaurant, discount store, a burger quick service restaurant, and a national hotel. I'd like to note, in the Retail Strategies Report, business names are redacted to protect the confidentiality and the integrity of ongoing negotiations. This approach ensures that any potential deals are not compromised before they are finalized. Retail Strategies has played a significant role in securing well-known businesses in Lompoc, including Old Navy, El Pollo Loco, and Tractor Supply. Notably, the Tractor Supply deal had been in negotiations for over 5 years, ultimately falling through before being successfully revived and finalizing through Retail Strategies' dedicated efforts. Currently, Retail Strategies is actively working to secure tenants for the former Big Lots and 99-cents only storefronts, demonstrating their commitment to revitalizing vacant spaces and attracting businesses that meet the needs of our community. Their expertise and persistence are invaluable in driving economic growth and expanding retail opportunities in Lompoc. I'd like to note the Chamber staff and their ongoing work with Retail Strategies to make sure that Lompoc is on the top of the map. We are available for any questions.
Any questions? We had a simple one. What do you guys attest to our taxable sales being down by millions of dollars year over year in the town?
What do we attest it to?
Yeah, what's causing this?
From feedback from our members, people are just not shopping locally.
Shop locally.
Shop locally, it's very important. They are the fabric of our community, but sales have continued to go down, unfortunately. And without us spending money in our community, these businesses go out of business.
Okay. Anybody else? Very good. Thank you guys very much. Oh, there we go.
So I'm going to piggyback on that because I used to be at the chamber. It is so important to shop local. And just remember, Lompoc has its challenges. We are a city where literally thousands of people have to get in their car every morning and leave town to go somewhere else to work. With that comes a little bit of shopping somewhere else, eating somewhere else. So long term, we got to work on trying to get a job balance. That's a hard one really for here. But just think about it. When you spend your dollars somewhere else, and that's fine, but you live here, if you spent most of your money in Goleta or in Santa Maria, they get to keep that tax dollars and they get to invest it right back into their city. So just keep that in mind. Look, I have to shop in Santa Maria sometimes too, but as you can, keep your dollars local. It helps this community a lot. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good job. Thank you, guys. Now, the long-awaited city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to let everybody know that we're doing a compost and mulch giveaway. The Lompoc Solid Waste Division, in partnership with Urban Forestry, will be hosting a free compost and wood chip gathering, mulch, if you will, giveaway on Saturday, April 5th from 8 till noon at the corporate yard. This event is open to the cities of Lompoc residents who can claim up to 5 containers of compost or mulch. The compost is made of organic waste collected through our green waste program, while the mulch comes from trees and trimmings throughout the valley. This helps us comply with 1383, where we have to recycle waste. Next slide. We're also given free kitchen pails. Thanks to a grant from the Cal Recycle program, the City Solid Waste Division is offering a new style of kitchen pails for Lompoc residents to assist ensuring that food scraps end up in their green waste, green trash cans, and this also helps us with 1383. These kitchen pails are available normal business hours, City Hall, the Lompoc Library, and the corporate yard, 8 to 4. Next slide, please. Since it's National Fix a Leak Week, I thought I could share an update from our conservation project that our utility staff have been working on. Thanks to a grant from California Department of Water Resources, staff were able to procure tools and services to help and fix surface leaks in transmission distribution systems, which has led to a significant saving and improving our efficiency. In the past years, staff reduced non-revenue water by 3%. This is reduced division variable cost at $62,000 annually and production cost by $171,000. Conservation also worked with customers in saving money there. They saved over $214,000, and you can get up to $1,000 towards repairing your leaks in your house. Next slide. I wanted to let everybody know JM Park revitalization. Last week, the old concession stand and restrooms at JM Park were demolished, which marks a significant step towards revitalization of the JM Park. This is just the beginning. We are making room for a new CDBG-funded design to better serve our community. This project is part of a commitment to enhancing public spaces, improving access, and providing more sustainable amenities for our park visitors. We're hoping that will be delivered on April 21st. Registration for the Park and Recs Division Spring Break Camp is now open. The camp will be hosted at the Anderson Rec Center from Monday, April 21st through April 25th from 12:30 to 5:15. Parents and children between 6 and 12 are encouraged to register because limited spacing. It's $45, and it'll be at the Anderson Rec Center Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. Oh, I'm sorry, you can get information there. I'm sorry. Next slide, please. Free junior summer baseball program returns. The Parks and Recs Division is excited to once again offer the Junior Giants Summer Baseball Program. This is a free, non-competitive league for kids 5 through 13, and it's sponsored by the San Francisco Giants Community Fund. Coaches and volunteers are needed, so if you are willing to help out, you can call 875-8092. And then finally, I want to let everybody know that the Lompoc Parks and Rec Division, in partnership with the Kiwanis, is inviting you to come on out for an annual Easter egg hunt. That'll be on April 19th at River Park. They'll have hot dogs there too, and if you want more information, you call 875-8100. Yeah, that's all I have for tonight.
Do you know what time of day that hunt is?
Yes, there's different age groups. Ages 3 and under will be at 10. 4 through 5 will be 10:15, 6 through 8 will be 10:30, and 9 through 12 will be at 10:45.
Very good. Any question for the city manager? No? All right. Very good. So I got a quick question. You have a list of city expenditures on here, on your report. Do you guys want to read them into the record, or you just, we don't, in the old days, we used to approve this on a consent calendar. Is there a reason we're not?
Did you want to read those in, Chris, or you want me to read them in? Do you want me to read them into record, sir?
Well, I don't, does the question, is that what you'd like to have done, or what do we do with them? We used to have them on consent calendar, we brought them in, that way we voted on and approved, and we recused ourselves if something was a conflict with us, but we don't do that anymore.
We can change that.
Okay. Maybe you could read those into the record so people kind of understand about these tax dollars. It's important to spend them here
You
in
want to read them?
town.
Okay.
They're on the website too.
Yeah.
Attached to the agenda.
I can read them, it's no worries. Oh,
So lists of city expenditures are also on the website. February 10th to 14th, 2025 was $2,095,668.79. February 17th to 21st was $2,257,591.51. And payroll on February 14th, Valentine's Day, was $2,028,693.61.
Thank you. Yeah, just put that out there. It takes a lot of money to keep the city moving.
It sure does.
All right, next is public comment on consent calendar. So we have 8 items on consent calendar tonight. Anybody have anything want to?
Mayor, while we're waiting for any public comment on the consent calendar, I did want to announce on the record for Councilmember Bridge that item number 7 relates to 320 North D Street, proposed purchase for that property. Because Councilmember Bridge has both business entity interests and real property interests within 500 feet of that site, he does need to recuse himself from item number 7. Because it's on the consent calendar, he does not need to leave the room.
Okay. So consent calendar, we have approval of the minutes, and we have an adoption, which has been long and waiting to repeal municipal code requiring police departments permits for operation of dance academies, dance halls, and skating rinks. And number 3 was the adoption of an ordinance regulating camping and storage of personal property within city limits and regulating the use of transit facilities. Number 4 was approval of lease of city-owned property on West Ocean for TNT Fireworks, for a safe and sane fireworks sale booth. Number 5 is acceptance of the 2024 General Plan Annual Report. Number 6 is to approve cooperative agreement with SBCAG for Cycle 4 of the Measure A North County Safe Routes to School. Bicycle pedestrian program, authorize the city manager to execute an agreement and adopt a resolution. Authorizing supplemental appropriation to complete design and construction of Hickory Avenue sidewalk infill. Something everybody's been waiting for. We could walk to school at Hapgood. I know it was on dirt when I was a child walking there many years ago, so. Let's see, number 7, award a purchase order to American Solar and Electric Solutions for the purchase of solar modules for a proposed transit fleet maintenance facility at 320 North D Street. Number 8, award a project for Pioneer Park Babe Ruth Baseball Field to J.D. Human Landscaping Incorporated. No comments on that? Okay, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the council.
Mayor,
Yes, pull an item?
I would like to pull item 5. And I would like to pull item 5. And I would like at least to make a comment on item 8. I'm hopeful that should this get passed, that we do this on a non-interference basis with the league activities that are going to occur on that field. So I don't know if that needs to be a motion or pulled, but I think it's important that we don't impact the sports that are going on the fields by meaningful and good projects, but let's control the timing.
Okay, I know the agreement, we don't have a date On when you're going to initiate construction that was left open?
Yeah, I know if you're saying, why did we fall into the Little League or the baseball league?
No, I'm not criticizing for the past, I'm looking to the future. This is,
Oh, okay.
this is Pioneer Park Babe Ruth baseball field, and I want to make sure that,
Yeah, I know, we ended up renovating Lizarraga Park because it did end up falling inside the league time. We try to plan as best we can, but sometimes the bids take longer, procurement takes longer, the whole process takes longer, but we try to do our best to make sure we don't interfere with the leagues. But this one, we did end up, like I said, renovating a field so we can accommodate them during their league time.
so the answer, we will not interfere on this one?
You found an alternative.
An alternative place for them to play. And they did a great job, I gotta admit, they did a great job at Lizarraga Park.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. I did have a question on item 4, and that was on the lease approval. I think on the fireworks rental, I think it's important you have just real fast, if we could fill in on the lease. I think it's important for transparency reasons that a sublet be verified to make sure there's not a conflict of interest with anybody on council as to what that, are you guys able to say who the sublease is going out to on the fireworks? The reason why I say this is if one of us happens to be on that nonprofit board of the subleasee of that, it would be a conflict. So that's why so the other question I had is on Exhibit A, it wasn't identified as Exhibit A, but you have a name mentioned there on Exhibit A. Is that, you have Victory Outreach and you have a Jonah Wilson? Is that Exhibit A correct?
Thank you, Mayor Mosby. We do need to add the words Exhibit A at the top of that document. So you can include that in the motion to...
Is Victory Outreach the name to be on there? Is that the subleasing?
I do not know the answer to that. That would be... I don't know if staff knows the answer to that.
If it isn't, then that name needs to be removed off of Exhibit A. No? Yeah?
That's correct. If Victory Outreach is not the nonprofit organization, then that does need to be removed. Also, if Jonna Wilson is not the sales associate, then that would need to be removed. But I do not know which nonprofit organization will be operating under TNT's lease here.
So, recommendation, City Attorney?
We'll probably need to bring it back if we can't confirm who it is.
Yeah, it appears it's...
Is there a time constraint on this, or are we okay to bring it back?
We can try and get those answers for you.
What was that?
We can try and get those answers back to you.
Okay, so we'll pull that item then.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, so that one's off the list, okay. So we have 5 pulled, and I had some questions for number 7 that are going to be longer than that, so 5 and 7. So we need a motion to approve.
So number four is not pulled?
Number 4. Oh, 4's, yeah, it's gone, but not pulled for for another day.
Thank you.
Wait. Oh, and
No,
we've got.
we meant pull it for the end of the agenda today.
End of the meeting, yes, I'm sorry, yes. For further discussion. Ooh, got him. Sorry, we can't do that. And that has to be done by April 1st, I got you.
So I'll make a motion to accept consent. My button doesn't work, but less item 4, 5, and 7, I believe, which will be pulled for further discussion at the end of the meeting.
Meaning that 5 and 7 will be end of the meeting, and 4 is for next meeting.
No, I thought they said they were going to get
Oh, you're going to
back.
be able to get 4 for today? Okay. Yes? Is that correct?
Okay, we're going to have to bring 4 back at a future meeting
All right.
in order to insert
Coming
them.
back.
So I've amended to have 4 come back in a future meeting. I'm sorry.
Thank
Do we have a
you.
motion? Do I have a second on the motion? So we got a first by Bridge and a second by Ball. Let's go ahead and vote. And that passes 5-0. So the items will be discussed, those 2 items that we pulled for today's later discussion will be a separate discussion immediately before the second oral communications near the end of the meeting. Which now brings us to Police Chief. Very good, thank you. We have a presentation from the Police Chief on policy on immigration matters.
Mayor, council, community. As the chief of police, I wanted to take a moment to address the concerns that many in our immigrant community may have regarding safety, trust, and their relationship with law enforcement. I understand that the recent events and policies may have caused anxiety and uncertainty. I want to assure you that our police department is committed to serving and protecting all residents, regardless of their background or immigration status. Every person in this city deserves to feel safe, whether they have lived here for generations or they've just arrived. Our officers are dedicated to protecting everyone from crime and violence. If you are a victim of or a witness to a crime, you should feel safe reporting it. Our department does not inquire about immigration status when someone seeks help. Your safety is our priority, and we encourage everyone to work with us to secure our city. We recognize that language can be a barrier to accessing police services. This is why we've increased our efforts to provide bilingual dispatchers, police officers, jailers, and professional staff. Currently, our bilingual staff consists of 6 dispatchers, 20 police officers, 2 jailers, and 3 professional staff. We do not tolerate racial profiling or discrimination. Every officer within our department is expected to treat all individuals with respect and dignity. I want to read the Lompoc police officer sworn oath of office. Officers swear that they will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that they will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that they will support the laws and policies of the City of Lompoc, that they take the obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that they will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties and responsibilities of a police officer for the City of Lompoc to the best of their ability. Now, how do we operate under California AB 54 from 2017? Since the passage of this bill, our department has upheld its commitment to serving our community without engaging in federal immigration enforcement. Our officers do not ask about, collect, or report immigration status. Our role is to enforce state and local laws, not federal immigration laws. We do not detain individuals based solely on immigration status. Our department prioritizes public safety and crime prevention, not immigration enforcement. We work to protect victims and witnesses regardless of their status. Immigrants should feel safe seeking assistance from law enforcement when victimized without fear of deportation or retaliation. Lompoc Police Department Policy 428, specifically 428.7.4, is titled Transfers to Immigration Authorities. This seems to be the real sensitive issue. So I want to read verbatim what our policy says. Members shall not transfer an individual to immigration authorities unless one of the following circumstances exists. Specifically, it refers back to Government Code 7282.5 and 7284.6, which is open for the public to read and find on their own. Letter A, transfer is authorized by a judicial warrant or judicial probable cause determination. The individual has been convicted of an offense as identified in Government Code 7282.5A. The individual is a current registrant on the California Sex and Arsonry Registry. The individual is identified by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Immigration, and Customs Enforcement as a subject of an outstanding federal felony arrest warrant. Our policy is available to the public online to read verbatim and research this on their own. They just have to go to the website to navigate to it. I want to encourage everyone that is currently concerned about that to find a pathway for residency if it's available. While our focus as a police department is public safety and community trust, we also encourage our residents to explore the available legal pathways to establish long-term residency in compliance with federal immigration laws. Navigating the immigration system can be complex, and we urge individuals to seek reputable legal assistance and resources to help guide them through that process. Building trust and ensuring public safety requires an ongoing effort. Communication, collaboration from all of us. Our department remains dedicated to transparency, fairness, and working with the entire community to uphold the values and justice and security for the city. I just wanted to say that to the council and those community members that are present. Since 2017, when AB 54 was passed, we have complied with it. It hasn't changed. It remains in place today, and we follow it, and we will continue to follow that. It is not our job to worry about immigration law. Our job is to keep this community safe and all the residents that live within it. Any questions?
Councilmember Ball.
So first off, I appreciate you coming. I know it's a very sensitive subject and probably not the easiest to talk about. It's a very complex subject. That said, I feel bad for you in that we as a city have kind of put you up to be the be-all, end-all on this issue when, from my understanding, the community stepped up and asked us to put it on the agenda and have a discussion about it. So I certainly appreciate you reaffirming where our police department stands on some of these issues, but I'm hopeful that, the buck stops at council with this type of issue. This is what the community's been asking for. So again, I appreciate that, but I wish the buck stopped up here.
You're welcome.
On this.
If you could elaborate, I remember when this was commented 6-7 years ago, I think Chief Walsh at that time made the comment, it's important to understand how you do work together in the community, and when there's an issue that somebody might take something that's a simple infraction and because of fear of something else that they could end up with a higher charge if they decide to run instead of taking the ticket, so to say. So
Yeah, I mean, a traffic violation is an infraction. It is a ticket that you get to go in front of the judge and argue in front of the judge and put your reasons as to why you got that infraction up, and then the officer does the same. If somebody was to run from that traffic stop, now you're committing a misdemeanor, not an infraction. And then you're going to be held to a higher standard with the courts. But even in that case, we're not going to ask. We're not going to get concerned with that. We are going to deal with the fact that you ran, and we're going to take you into custody and put you in our jails and let our courts do what our courts are supposed to do.
And I think another thing you mentioned back then was as well, if somebody was in an abusive situation, don't be afraid to call, or, I mean, how would you treat that situation?
Absolutely. You need to call us, and we're going to do everything we can, regardless of the immigration status of that victim, to protect them. And we're going to give them those services that they need. So, we're only as good as our community engages with us, and our community is everyone. So we need people to feel comfortable in reaching out to us and calling us when crime is being committed so that we can deal with it.
And I would thank you too. It wasn't long ago the bilingual component was at best minimal, and you've really done a good job to get the coverage.
Well, specifically for dispatch, we have a total of 9 funded dispatcher positions. I have 6 that are bilingual. There are 50 sworn police officers in the department. 20 are bilingual. It's a huge resource to this community because of our community makeup that we have that available to them when they need our help.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Oh, Councilmember Vega.
Yeah, Chief, I'd like to thank you for clarifying to the residents of Lompoc that have these concerns, because I understand and I feel for all of us and you yourselves to fear for your family or fear of going to school or shopping or whatever. But it's good that the police chief clarified here their position and stance, and I hope that makes someone feel a little bit better, to know that Lompoc is not looking to deport people and things like that, you know what I mean, or take you off the grid, so to speak, when people are generally hardworking families. So I hope that helps to hear the clarification from Lompoc. I think that was one of your questions on how Lompoc was going to handle, or how they do handle that kind of situation when the world has changed a lot. So thank you very much, okay, for clarifying.
You're welcome. And again, everything is available through the department's website. All the code sections that you would need to research to say, what does this mean? It's all available and everybody can see it. It's completely transparent. And that's how we operate every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll open up to oral communications. So just real fast, last time I let you guys celebrate a little bit. This time, we're going to hold down because I heard some people were intimidated by both ways, so we're going to keep it way down on the celebrations, okay? All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Mosby and council members. My name is Andrea Pelagio, and I'm here as one of the leaders of Voces Sin Fronteras. Unfortunately, Alexia Miranda, my co-lead, is unable to join us this evening, but the rest of Voces Sin Fronteras leadership team and the unwavering support of the Lompoc community are here with us in support. I first want to say thank you for the time and consideration you have given to our proposal and VSF as a whole. I would also like to thank the police chief, Kevin Martin, for taking the time to express LPD's support of our undocumented residents. It means a lot to the community that you have taken the first step of working with us to meet our goals. But with all due respect, we feel that there is more that the city council can do to support our undocumented neighbors and our proposal. We ask that you carefully review our proposal in its entirety and analyze each of the 5 items presented. We would like a resolution to be passed with signatures to solidify your stance on this issue. What we are asking for is not only fair, but reasonable within the limits of city council. We would love to be able to continue working together to unite our community for a bigger and brighter future. As I stated before, this is not the last time you will hear from us, and we will continue to defend our community, but the power is in your court and the ball is in your hands. Thank you.
It's a reflex, we can't help it.
You'll get there.
Take it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members and audience members. I'm here, I'm very nervous, but I'm just going to read it's very quick. I timed myself, it's 2 minutes. I was astonished and astounded to see that a group called Voces Sin Fronteras Leadership wants our Lompoc leadership to vote in support of embracing and supporting illegals. I was living in Santa Maria, a sanctuary city, I was always told, when Marilyn Ferris was attacked, raped, and had a hammer taken to her face, taking her 8 days to die from her injuries about 9 years ago. My very close girlfriend was a very good friend of Marilyn's and shipped her contents after her death to her family on the East Coast. While I am aware that not all illegals are violent or murderers, not one of them has been vetted, thus their status is illegal. I am disgusted that I live in a sanctuary state. I often wonder if an elected official who supports anything illegal or sanctuary would only care if their loved one was harmed or killed by an illegal alien. Many of my family served in the military and law enforcement, and my uncle gave his life, 19 years old, for our country during World War II, for the flag, for our freedom. Please do not let any of our veterans fighting for the Constitution, the rule of law, and common sense be in vain. Please vote no on supporting anything illegal. No support, no this, no that. They need to become citizens and follow the rules just like my relatives did. They need to be deported and come back into my country by following the rules of immigration. I was sickened when we did the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, and I had many around me who did not put their hand on their heart. They want all the benefits of my country, but they can't stand or put their hand over their heart for the Pledge of Allegiance. I thank you all for your service in protecting all of we citizens in the Lompoc area. I moved here recently, and I love the city. Make me proud by all of you by voting correctly. Thank you.
So you guys, as you demand respect for your public comment, other people's demand respect. If you don't agree with them, take it somewhere else, but you guys got to keep it down. Please.
Good evening. I am Reverend Joy Price, and I will be commenting on the Voices Without Borders request for the council to take up a 5-point action plan. I have reviewed their plan, and I support all 5 points. This issue is very personal to me because I am a person of faith. I follow Christianity, which is very clear on how we are to treat the stranger or immigrant among us. But it is important to point out that all major faiths, many of which are represented in this room this evening, compel their followers to welcome and care for strangers among us. As people of faith, I pray that our leadership will examine their hearts on this issue. Finally, as a resident of Lompoc, I want to point out the importance of what the immigrants do for us in this community. Without agro workers, cleaners, construction workers, and all the things that our immigrant brothers and sisters provide us, we would lose value in our lives. These folks keep us and our local economy going. They make our lives better every day through their hard work, their spending, and their fellowship. I ask the Lompoc City Council to take this request seriously and to reply to all 5 of the points in the Voices Without Borders proposal as soon as possible.
Golly, gentlemen, we got to stop meeting like this. I'm here with Voces Sin Fronteras, which is apparently very controversial, so that's great. We got a room full of folks here. I would say probably 98% of them are in support of the proposals that we've submitted to you, which are very, very, very fair, are all within City Council's legal rights to go ahead, so nothing illegal gonna happen. These are all things that the city is able to do. I really do appreciate you having the chief go ahead and make that position known, but if his position is one that you share, we really want to see that in writing with your name on it. And I don't think that that's asking too much as elected officials who signed up to do this work, to come here and, unfortunately, sometimes get yelled at by folks and sometimes have to sit through uncomfortable conversations. Again, that's kind of what you guys signed up for. And so, respectfully, I would hope that in the near future, we can see those proposals discussed, and not by staff, but by you folks. And you can put your name and the weight of your office behind those positions, because it really is important. I mean, you can see in our community and our surrounding communities. The effect, I talked last time about what's going on in Salinas Valley. We continue to hear from our farmers that they are concerned about their labor force going forward. We really can't be surprised, that that's going to happen, or that, again, crimes may go unreported. And it doesn't matter how many proclamations the police chief makes. These are folks who fundamentally are scared of the system right now. And what you can offer are some big, warm, cozy arms to represent that system and show them that, here it's a little different. Again, we're not asking to be a sanctuary city. That's not anywhere in the proposal, and anyone who's saying that just frankly hasn't read it or maybe can't read. But regardless, I really hope that you guys will take a look at them and discuss them, hopefully at the next meeting. And I would really love to see, you guys put, again, your full weight behind what we're asking for, because again, it is not much, quite frankly. So thank you guys. Again, we do appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time. So.
Hello again, council members. I hope your evening is well. My name is Angelica Torralba. I am the Lompoc Youth Organizer for Future Leaders of America. I'm speaking today, once again, on behalf of our undocumented students and families in our community. We appreciate the support and consideration the council has shown for some of the requests in the Voices Sin Fronteras proposal. However, we strongly believe that all of the requests in the proposal will significantly benefit our community as a whole, specifically urging the council to fully support SB 48, a bill that would protect students and families by ensuring that immigration agents cannot enter schools without illegal warrant, and that schools cannot share personal or educational information with immigrant authorities. Our community is facing increasing fear and anxiety due to the threat of family separation, and it's crucial that we provide our undocumented students and families with the safety and security they need to thrive. We must take action now to ensure that our schools remain safe spaces for all students, regardless of their immigration status or their families. I ask that the council consider putting this proposal on the upcoming agenda for April 1st to continue supporting the protection and well-being of our community. Please know that this will not be the last time we bring this issue to your attention. We will continue to advocate until our community needs are fully addressed. Thank you.
Thank you for being respectful. This political group who's making demands here today are asking you to make a local law. I encourage you not to be bullied by people who are inexperienced, who misrepresent things and start trouble. People who may be paid to actually do this political work. Nonprofits, NGOs. Thank you. Yes, I did it well. I did it very well. Yeah.
Oh, my time started. I'm so sorry. Good evening. My name is Alexis Otero. I'm a wife, artist, and a longtime Lompoc resident. Tonight, I'll be using my voice to speak to two separate groups. First, to the amazing people, to the amazing people who have come from all over the world just to be part of our little community, and to their families as well. You are loved. You matter. Our town would not be the place it is without you and your loved ones. The tapestry of diverse cultures and worldviews is what makes Lompoc the town that it is. Regardless of what you might hear on the news or see on social media, you are welcome here, and your neighbors will have your back. For every one person in this town with hate and bigotry in their hearts, there's 100 who would give you the shirt off their backs or invite you to dinner. You are loved. You matter. Secondly, I'd like to speak to the council directly. No one asks for uncertain times to be thrust upon them. Gentlemen, tonight, history has its eyes on you. I hope that when I'm old and my children look back on this time of my life, they can see that this council rose to the occasion and stood with their city to be on the right side of history. Thank you for lending me your ear, Councilman. I yield back my time. Don't clap, you guys. We gotta play the game by their rules.
Mr. Mayor and council members and members of the audience, I didn't intend to speak tonight, but I feel compelled to because I'm a veteran and for many years a co-worker and best friend to Marilyn Ferris, whose name has been invoked here tonight in a very inappropriate way. And I want to say that Marilyn would be the last person who would want her story or her image to be used in the manner it was tonight. On behalf of Marilyn Ferris, I would hope that you would not listen to the woman who spoke earlier today about her story. Thank you.
Hello, council members, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I know that elected office has lots of responsibility that comes with it, and it is a big deal. And I appreciate your service. I would like to say that I was very heartened by the invocation today because Mr. Caldera, Reverend Caldera, understands that everybody is not a Christian. We have other religions in our community, and so he did not say, "In the name of Jesus Christ." And I appreciated that very much. We have separation of church and state in the Constitution of the United States. I also would like to thank the Chief of Police, Chief Martin, for his explanation of the police department's policy. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am in support of all of the residents of Lompoc, documented or undocumented. And it would be absolutely wonderful to see the City Council of Lompoc and the mayor pass a resolution for Lompoc to be an inclusive city. The economic benefits are obvious with other communities who have chosen that path. And I think it would be very wise and very helpful for us to become an inclusive city. If you aren't, well, you have been given all of the recommendations that includes, and I appreciate that. I don't think I have anything else to say except thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cristina Macias, and I stand here with Voces Sin Fronteras. I just want to start off by saying thank you to each of you for taking the time to review our proposal, allowing us the opportunity and to return and hearing us out. I also want to extend our gratitude to Chief of Police Kevin Martin for expressing Lompoc Police Department's support of our undocumented residents. It truly means so much to us to know where you stand. Our undocumented residents, they are an essential part of the fabric that holds our community together. So we stand here again, not only as advocates, but as neighbors, coworkers, and friends, continuing to show up for those whose voices are too often silenced by fear. They are the backbone of our local economy and
a source of strength, resilience, and compassion. We urge you to stand with us, to stand with them, and to let your signatures affirm the value of inclusion, compassion, and justice that we strive to uphold as a community. Respectfully, we are asking for more than just your verbal support. We are asking that you consider our full proposal and carefully evaluate each item presented. Your thoughtful review and signatures will demonstrate your ongoing commitment to protecting and uplifting all members of our community. Once again, thank you for your support. We look forward to working together towards a resolution on the proposal submitted by Voces Sin Fronteras. Thank you.
Good evening. I hadn't planned on speaking either, but I feel compelled to. I'm Ann McCarty. I'm a Lompoc resident, have been so since 1993. Shame on you for what you did in bringing Marilyn Ferris into this. As the leader of a nonprofit here in the city of Lompoc, it was our honor to be there with Marilyn in the hospital. I have a card on my desk that was found in her home. It's laminated. Things that I want to accomplish in life. I look at that card every single day. Marilyn wouldn't want this. As a community-based organization providing services to survivors of sexual violence, child abuse, and human trafficking, we provide services to everyone, no matter what their status is. It makes no difference. Because at the very core, we're all human beings. They're all human beings, and they all matter. That's what matters. And as a community-based organization, I won't be deterred from the work that we do in this community to support everyone, because we love everyone and we'll continue to take care of everyone. And as the chief of police says, just as they serve the community, it doesn't matter what your status is. It shouldn't matter. What matters is that we just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. Thank you.
I've lived in Lompoc since 1976. I came to my first council meeting 2 weeks ago. This is my second. We are all the same. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, we are all precious. We are all here at our best to help each other. I worked for 25 years for Lompoc Unified. I worked as an instructional assistant in special ed. When I got divorced at 50, I went back to school. I finished my degree. I got my teaching credential. I worked with the lowest readers at La Cañada in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. I cared about all of my children. I also taught adult ed for a semester. And one of the most precious women I have ever met in my life trusted me enough. She told me I have never been to school in the United States. I came here with a coyote at 16. She trusted me to write her story because she knew that I cared about her and I wanted to help her learn. She was the most amazing woman with 2 small children and a husband who worked very hard. And when I said my credential is for elementary, I won't be able to work with you anymore, and she said, then I'm quitting. I said, oh, don't do that. You're so talented. She said, I wanted to be with you. please think about supporting all of the members in your community. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Howard, off and on resident of Lompoc since 1958, and I usually watch the council meeting on TV at home, but I'm here because this is an important topic for me, and I ask all of you and you up there to sort of inspect your heart and see if you're anti-illegal immigration, because it's so easy to find them in California because of the color of their skin. I have lived in other places where it wasn't, and we really didn't have this kind of issue. So examine your heart in a positive way. Everyone in this community is an asset to this community, and we need to acknowledge that. And the police chief has in his policies, and we're asking you to please acknowledge it in your policies. Don't let us be the bigoted folk that sometimes we're thought of. Thank you.
Good evening, council and community. My name is Yasmin Dawson. I hear all the words that expressed tonight, and all of them mean something. They're valuable. But I urge the council to collaborate with reputable local organizations and immigrant rights groups to provide accurate, accessible information to our undocumented community. Our neighborhoods have been scarred by misinformation and fear for too long. By sponsoring educational forums, even a screening of the documentary Separated, we can help our residents understand their rights and dispel the harmful myths that fuel anxiety. In closing tonight, it's not just about acknowledging proposals. It's about transforming words into lasting change. Our shared future depends on a city that is brave enough to stand by every resident and wise enough to recognize that the strength of Lompoc lies in its unity. I respectfully call on you to move from cautious gestures to decisive actions that truly protect and uplift our community. We would like the City Council to be amongst us, not sitting behind these chairs. We want to get to know you. We would like the community to know you. We would like to feel your compassion that you have for human beings. And I would appreciate if that could happen one day. Thank you.
My name is John McReynolds. I've been sitting out watching a baseball game and I'm freezing. 409 South A Street. In 1933, my father climbed onto a boxcar and a freight train in Clay Center, Nebraska. He had $10. It was sewed in his jeans by my grandmother. He was 1,400 miles away from California, but he got here. For most of the 1930s, he was a farm laborer working up and down the San Joaquin Valley and Sacramento valleys. By the end of that decade, he began to realize that there was no future there. So he happened to learn of an adult education program in Davis, and that was his ticket out of the fields. He did well. He got into real estate, made money. It all worked out. Nobody works harder than field workers. Nobody. You have an opportunity here, I think, from these young people who have put together this Voces group. They're the best and the brightest of their generation. They, together with you, can do some creative thinking about how we can build around this moment and not just let it pass. I hope you'll do that. Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? Oral communications. There we go.
Hi, my name is Javier Valdez. Hello again, City Council, City of Lompoc. I just decided last second to come up here and say a few words. Earlier, there was a comment about some of us standing with our hands at our sides during the Pledge of Allegiance, silent. I'm one of those individuals. I stand silent during that because one of the lines, liberty and justice for all, when I can believe that, I will continue to, I will once again start to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Ask you guys, City Council, to please take a look at the rest of the points in the proposal that Voces Sin Fronteras has put in front of you guys today. And I believe that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead and line on up.
Good evening, everybody. I wasn't prepared to speak, but I feel compelled to as well. I would like to thank you guys for the opportunity, you the council, for the opportunity to be here today and for reviewing our 5 points. To anyone opposed to our proposal, it just shows the privilege that you have because it doesn't affect you or the people you love personally. We need the proper education in our community to be prepared for situations that can occur with ICE, even though our chief of police has said that LPD and ICE are not collaborating. We just want the proper information to be spread throughout our community, even though a lot of people, some people are opposed. I would also like to add it is incorrect to call a human illegal. An action can be illegal, but a human being cannot be. The proper term would be undocumented. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, we'll close oral communications. Move on down to item number 9. Public hearing on.
You want to make a comment? We can't do that.
Those guys who are new to the process, we take your oral communications, but can't comment on a non-agendized item, so that's how the process plays out. We hear you. Item number 9, public hearing to consider Measure A 5-year local program project for fiscal year 2630, adoption of Resolution 6743, parentheses 25. Craig Deerling.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to consider this item that the city needs to do every year in the spring.
On the side, there's a button push to lift the, no, right next to you.
Oh, the 3-minute.
Raise your podium a little bit.
Ah, cool. Nice. That it? All right. So like I was saying, the city needs to approve a Measure A program projects every year in the spring before July 1st in order to get our Measure A allocation of road funds, which I'll explain through this presentation. As you can see in this pie chart, Measure A is our largest source of road revenue, and the other sources are listed there also. And this is a look at the upcoming fiscal year 2025-26. Road funds in the city serve many uses that we've categorized here on this slide into two primary categories, being operations and capital projects. Operations being those things that keep things working daily in routine activities like patching and sealing the roads, repairing and upgrading sidewalks, maintaining street trees and vegetation, things like that. Whereas capital projects are the more substantial work that extends the useful life of our infrastructure. So here's a photo of operations. They're continual, but they don't always add life to what we're working on. Whereas capital projects do add life, but because they're expensive, they're intense efforts that are more expensive in unit costs, so we don't have money to do them daily throughout the year. It's limited time frames, limited locations. So a complete streets program like we have includes both operations and capital to extend our useful life of our infrastructure as we can, as well as keep things working on a daily basis. And as the staff report mentions, and we present annually, our road needs exceed our revenues. So we're trying to balance the operations and the capital, and without operations, the daily needs can't be met. Without capital, the infrastructure condition declines. Here's a picture. This presentation focuses mostly on pavement condition because that's probably our largest single capital need for these funding sources. So this picture just illustrates what pavement condition index scores look like from 72 down to 3. Currently, our citywide average PCI is a 54. So going back to this slide, it's a little bit below that 58, a little above the 43. So we're at a 54 citywide. The kind of industry standard goal is a 70, so kind of like the upper left photo. And our PCI basically is directly correlated to our expenditure on capital rehabilitation of our pavement. So this is expenditure and PCI trends looking back 10 years. During the teens, before the passage of Senate Bill 1, we had less revenue available for capital. And after the passage of Senate Bill 1, there's been a little more, so we've been able to grow our capital expenditure, level out our PCI decline, so we're kind of riding a mid-50s PCI average. This is looking forward to the next 10 years, 4 different expenditure scenarios. The bottom one is basically a do-nothing scenario where the PCI drops from the current 54 down to about 35. And the top scenario, as the staff report explains, is using cost-effective measures, spending about $3 million per year using those measures and being able to increase the PCI. This slide shows our different categories of roads and kind of the relative priority of our expenditures. Arterials, so that's a picture of Central Avenue at H Street. Arterials being our highest speed, highest volume, and also the streets that deteriorate most rapidly, whereas our lower speed, lower volumes don't deteriorate as fast and also aren't used by as many people. So our expenditure needs on the high-speed, high-volume streets are also increased due to the heavier truck traffic and consequences of them being in disrepair. For cost-effective strategies using our limited funds, these are our capital projects that we do like we just did last fall. Most of the streets we did not receive milling and overlay, like was the traditional approach. So the approach that we took was limited deeper pavement repairs and then several layers of sealing so that we could extend the life of the whole street at a lower unit cost and make the money go further. Generally, those aren't as smooth riding, they're not as aesthetically appealing, and a process of several steps takes longer. In operations, we're, like street maintenance, urban forestry, we're continually striving to improve efficiencies and extend the useful lives as much as we can through those efforts. And in capital, like I mentioned, we've been incorporating multiple approaches, deep repairs, as well as sealing entire surfaces so that we get the best cost efficiency. Here's a before and after photo of a street from a little more than 10 years ago that we did one of our cost-effective approaches on that's still doing well. This generally kind of points out the gist of Table 2 in the staff report, that operations require about $5.5 million a year looking forward to the coming fiscal year, which in the next few years, according to the budgets presented in the staff report, leaves approximately $3 million per year for pavement capital expenditure. And then these last couple tables in the slides just repeat what's in the staff report and in the program of projects. So this one shows basically what's in tables 1 and 2 of the staff report, revenues on top, expenditures on the bottom. And then these tables are from the program of projects, an attachment to the resolution attached to the staff report. This first one is expenditures for fiscal year 23-24, and this one is future expenditures for the coming 5 fiscal years out of Measure A. This table shows alternative transportation expenditures. Measure A has a requirement that we spend 15% of what we receive on alternative transportation, meaning sidewalks, bike paths, things that are not vehicle traffic related. And it's measured through distinct 5-year periods. So looking back to the 5-year period that's about to end in June, we project that we will achieve that. And this next slide, looking forward to the next 5 years, we're budgeting to achieve that 15% requirement also. So tonight, the staff recommendation is to adopt this program of projects in order for the city to receive its allocation by beginning July 1st. Are there any questions?
How many dollars a year are you short to turn the corner and get our PCI up to 70, let's say? An average of 70 between sidewalks and streets? How much more money would you need? Just say, give us 5 years to get there. What do you?
This chart shows 10 years. If we spent $3 million a year on capital, we'd get there in 9 to 10. I did not do a forecast in a 5-year term, so it'd take a little more than that using cost-effective measures, more than $3 million a year. We could do that and let you know.
So $3 million more a year would potentially in 10 years get us to 70?
Right. Yeah, after 10 years, $3 million a year purely on pavement expenditures using the cost-effective scenario, which is a less expensive treatment approach.
And continue where we are right now, which is the orange line?
The green line is spending about $2 million a year on pavement. That kind of keeps us where we are, which is kind of what we've been doing the last couple of years.
So that's at barely safe, right?
Yeah, we call it in the staff report kind of an at-risk condition, PCI average of 54.
At risk.
Right.
So if we stay where we're going right now, we continue at risk.
Right.
So we keep our asphalt at risk. So does increased rainy years like we had the last couple of years, what's that do to the streets?
Makes them fall apart.
It makes them fall apart faster. So I think, we get this report annually, and I think it's important we hear it, and we see what's going on, and we hear people say we need to do something about it, but we do basically the bare minimum, which is pushing Measure A forward. What is the, if you go back to your slide number 2. What is the city discretionary road maintenance funds? What's that?
So
Top
those-
left green.
What are the funds composed of?
You're calling it discretionary.
Yeah, right-of-way maintenance funds.
Yeah, why are you calling it a discretionary?
So discretionary just means that it's at the city's discretion how those are used. That's when
It's not a mandated account, or is it mandated to draw, or not mandated how it's spent? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I suppose it's probably discretionary in both.
I thought most of that was spent in alleyways or something, isn't that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Either Mayor Mosby and council, I just speak to the discretionary part of road maintenance. It is a discretionary because the city has allocated that cost from the enterprise funds to the road maintenance fund. And so it is a self-imposed discretionary charge.
Okay, so we've had to get creative to self-impose a right-of-way maintenance at $2.3 million a year to try to keep us at 54 for a PCI.
So
we've had to input more of our creative monies to keep us, what I'm getting at is, we're just struggling to keep our roads at risk. Right? That's what I'm getting at. I got you, thank you, I appreciate that. But we're struggling to keep them at risk. And we have to input money that was never inputted before. It's going to be $2.3 million anticipated for 25-26, which is a burden on the utilities, which is a burden on the people. And we're still only staying at 54, correct?
Yes, with the 2.3 looking forward, it's closer to $3 million a year that we project, so it is a climbing PCI, but.
And you're supposed to be putting most of that right-of-way stuff in alleyways, correct?
Well, I believe it's in whatever the contributing enterprise funds use, which I think about 40% of our streets and properties have alleys, and the other 60% don't.
And what was our PCI on our alleys?
29.
And what's 29 considered?
Well, poor, basically, yeah.
Well, it's got to be, you got to have a better name than that, than poor. What is it?
I think very poor is less than
Just barely
25.
above failing? Crappy? I got it crappy over here. So I'm just saying, as a council, we get this report. It's been put in front of us for a long time, and, we're going to have to start figuring out how to do better than this. We keep waiting, and they keep struggling on how to get us to the next level, and I think it's very eye-opening what's going on, and, we say how important the police and fire services are, but if they can't get down the streets, what do we got? So we definitely need to do what we can to look at making it so we can get down these streets. And I know it's one of the biggest things public has said to me is their new cars are running into potholes and such, then it's devastating to them. But I thank you for the eye-opening data. I know you have a lot of good information in here that talks about what's going on and how we're on our way down to a PCI of, you say in here on one of your pages, without our expenditures, the PCI will continue to drop toward a poor system-wide average of 50, which gets to the point where, unless you're four-wheel drive, you're probably not making it down the streets. So, anybody have any other questions this evening? Councilmember Bridge.
I just need a little education, obviously. I just need a little education, please. So on your chart on page 10, it appears that there's, every other year, we're not spending anything. Am I misinterpreting that chart?
No, that's correct. That's currently how we budget our capital expenditures so that we can have projects twice as big and get a better unit cost.
So
it's-
typically, to me, capital expenditure means I buy something big. What does capital expenditure mean in road maintenance?
It's what's more than routine maintenance. So like the contracted large projects we did last fall, which included first a concrete project and then deep pavement repairs, and after that a cape seal, those were our capital,
So it's
primary capital roadways.
It's the more standard road improvements than the strategic operational approach you're taking? That's
Well,
how we
more than what our own forces do day in and day out, right?
Okay. Then I think I misheard when Mayor Mosby was asking you about the the three lines. If you could go to that chart one more time.
This one?
Yeah. He was trying to understand how much more, and I kept hearing the word 3 billion. And then I heard you say that that's the number we're planning on. Did I mishear that?
No, that's correct. We project that being available based upon, I don't remember which way the slide is. It's this way. Based upon the revenues in fiscal year 25-26, basically continuing along that trend.
So that would mean if we continue on the trend you're showing us, that our PCI would grow as shown on table 10.
Correct, yeah. If we can achieve keeping 3 million a year expenditures in the cost-effective strategy without having to use more expensive treatments, basically.
Okay, and this is probably not an appropriate question for you, but I'm still trying to grasp. I could walk away from here hearing everything's okay, and we'll just keep doing what's planned, 3 million a year. We're going to get our PCI up to 74. That's not the image I'm getting from Mayor Mosby. Am I mishearing? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm trying to make sure. Is it the fact that if we continue down, our roads are going to get to a higher level, maybe not the highest level?
Correct, yeah. If we can bring in revenue in the of the values shown in this table for fiscal year 25-26, and generally spend 3 million a year or so on pavement capital projects, then yes, our PCI should grow that way, and that is how we're projecting forward the next 10 years, assuming revenues and expenditures can remain balanced in that way.
Okay, so perhaps this question's for Christie. We would see these numbers when we start doing the budget that would correspond to what he just made the statement on?
Yes, that's correct. We would be bringing back these numbers, and in fact, Craig is a big piece of putting those budget numbers together.
Okay, well, that budget's very complex for me. Would you please take a note and ensure that when we get to this section, it's clear whether we're deviating from the 3 million that we just heard is the proper, might be a charged word, but the proper, because that sounds like a good story to me.
Okay.
Okay,
We
thank you.
definitely will make sure that we highlight the streets portion and whether or not we're meeting that 3 million.
All right, thank you
mark.
very much.
Councilor Ball.
So a couple of quick points, real quick. First one was just an idea. Remind me, you said it was at number 29 for our alleys?
Yes.
And I think the label for that was poor. I think maybe we come up with a new, I had a suggestion, maybe to retitle it, I've seen better dirt roads. I've seen better dirt roads would be a new name for 29.
Well, if I
The
go
reason
back-
I'm trying to make a little joke about it, but to be serious, I've mentioned this before, obviously we need to have really high-quality streets for the obvious reasons, but a lot of people, their driveway is the alley. So again, having a balance of where we put those funds and making sure that our alleys have a chance to thrive matters to a large amount of our community as well. So I know you have a tough job, but I always ask you this every time you come up every year to remind us of the overwhelming just scope of work that needs to be done in Lompoc in terms of streets. So remind us, and I think the term is center line miles, or maybe you can educate our community again on how many miles of streets do we have to take care of and maintain and update and all that?
Yeah, so in terms of centerline miles, meaning just straight miles of street, about 130, and lane miles, so 1 mile per lane is about 273.
So imagine that. If we had a single lane, you'd have to drive 273 miles to cover all of the streets in Lompoc. So it is a big task, and I'm glad the mayor is talking about how do we make sure that we can sustain some effort towards improvement. For many years, we've been at risk, and we kind of stay there, and then it rains, and we get a little bit more risky. So it's nice to see that we're headed possibly up. Last thing I wanted to say, and you mentioned it in one of your slides, you said that many of your staff positions, due to low revenue, you've had to hold those positions open and vacant. As more funds become available, I'm worried about the chicken and egg issue. Will we run into, well, we have money, but we don't have staff to do the work, or is that something we should never worry about potentially?
I guess I don't anticipate such a windfall, but I think probably our first need to get the PCI up would be more of a capital expenditure need.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate your report.
Yeah, thanks.
15 years ago, how many people were employed in the streets, approximately, at our peak? Probably 07, 08, maybe a little longer ago, but.
Yeah, probably about 15.
15, and how many do we have employed in the streets department now?
9.
9, and those are all in the street, or we have supervisors along with that, or?
So the 9 includes a supervisor and a OSA,
Okay, so we
office
have
staff assistant.
8 out there in the streets and 1 super? Is that what you're saying?
So 7 field, like full-time field
Okay.
workers and 2 primarily office
All right.
staff.
So our numbers are way down on those people in the streets too, and we have a few more streets now too as well, right?
Yeah, a few more. Yeah, thankfully that's not growing too fast.
And who's taking care of the sidewalk components? We used to do more of the sidewalks in-house, didn't we?
We did a number of, back then when we had 15 or so street folks, we had a full-time concrete crew.
And so we don't do that anymore ourselves, correct?
Very limited. Yeah, it's mostly contracted.
I think you go take a look at that sidewalk in front of CHC on Ocean Avenue. I don't know if you've seen that one lately, but it might flex in time, but you look at it.
Right, yeah.
When I was a kid, when I used to skateboard, I tell you, there'd be a heck of a ramp that's going on there, but you might take a look at that one there. That's probably one of the more aggressive sidewalks, but.
Yeah, thankfully
Anyhow,
that's a Caltrans one.
With that, any other questions for Craig? No? How about we get a public comment? You're fired up. All right, we'll open this up to public comment on agenda item number 9. Let's talk about asphalt. I thought you guys were here for that too. Craig, you're gonna make Craig sad. All right, without anybody rising, we will come back to council. Any deliberation other than we're ready to go?
I make a motion, we approve staff's recommendation.
We got a bridge ball motion. All right, let's go ahead and vote. We love our asphalt. Thanks, Craig. Where'd he go? There you are. So that brings us back to are we going to written communications, or we go back to this? Written communications? Okay. Do we have any?
Nothing.
Okay, well, that was quick. All right, so then we come back to number 5. Correct? That's a head nod. Okay, that's acceptance of 2024 general plan report, number 5. Greg. There he is. All right, I think you just give us a quick synopsis of what you have with that. I imagine, isn't that what we were looking for as council? I know there was a couple comments. You had some, or do you want to that, or do you want a little presentation? You have a question?
I don't need a presentation.
All
I
right,
have,
well, he's going to go ahead and,
yeah, so I have thoughts on this. We just spent from 4 to 6 talking about general plan, or 4 to 5:30, whatever time it was. And the general plan is made up of data, and then a narrative, and then goals, and then you get to these, the attachment 2. They're the real thing we say we're going to do. We are 15-plus years into a general plan, and we still have items that say no progress to date as the status. There's elements in this that have not really been statused in a few years. It's not clear to me who's in the enforcement of moving this forward, but I think it resides with the DS up here. So in the interest of time, I've provided this list of my concerns to Greg this evening, and I'd like to have this brought back in the next meeting to give Greg and whoever else wants to work with him the opportunity to correct these items or clarify them, and then I'd be able to vote on approving it. But as it stands now, Appendix 2, I think it is.
Appendix B.
Pardon?
Appendix B.
E, thank you very much. Appendix E.
B as in boy.
B as in boy? Thank you, Greg. It just needs more work before I would vote to approve it. And I believe we're the guys who are supposed to care about this. And this is where the rubber meets the road on the general plan. So I'd like to make a motion, if that's appropriate, that we move this.
I still had questions as well
Yeah,
with this.
go
so-
for it.
And I think one importance is there's a time component with this general plan of sending it forward, correct, Mr. Attorney?
Yeah. As I understand, and Greg can correct me if I'm wrong, but this report on how we're doing complying with our general plan has to be submitted to HCD, the state agency, by April 1st every year. So we do have a council meeting on April 1st. I don't know if HCD considers 11:59 p.m. to be the deadline.
I would have to reach out and ask them.
Well, let's chew through what we got, because we do have something we want to push forward, but
Well,
let me pose some of my statements I had, and then we can come back to you.
Okay, I love that, but let me just make one comment.
Sure.
We seem as a group to constantly bringing things forward to this council with the statement that accompanies it, that if we don't do it today, then we're going to be delinquent. And that's a failure on our part as much as anything else. I just, there's that classic 5P, which I probably shouldn't say in public, but this is poor planning. To get a document that's got errors in it, in my opinion, and hasn't been conscientiously addressed because we've gotten complacent, is not a reason to go forward with a document that's not right.
Okay. Councilor Ball.
So all things considered, I don't mind getting the details right and getting it accurate, but I'd love to know, because I feel like it's a fair concern, is when we're up against a timeline, what are the penalties for not submitting on time? What can the state do to us? Because I feel like that's a reverse engineer. We got to start from there, and we got to figure out how to hit the target.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty comfortable that we have a council meeting on April 1st. So if we want to bring it back and revise the document however the council wants to, we can get it to HCD on April 1st, as long as we finalize it that night. But I believe that as far as penalties go, that HCD would have the ability to, not saying they would do this if we were just a few days late, but they may have the ability to decertify our housing element because we are not in compliance with that April 1st deadline, or at least begin the process of decertifying the housing element. which then, of course, if we don't have a certified housing element, which we worked very hard to get to, we would then be subject to builder's remedy projects. We would lose control until we get a certified housing element again over the ability to condition or deny housing projects in Lompoc. So, or require the housing projects to comply with our zoning standards. That is a very drastic remedy that I do not think would be applied to us if we were just a couple days late, but it is a possibility. But like I said, I think we can get it in by the deadline.
So can I ask you one follow-up question? Provided we have a meeting on April 1st that we discuss and no action is taken and no resolution is found, how do you feel at the end of that meeting?
Pass out your concerns if you want.
If we get to April 1st and no action is taken to approve this, I would want to be calling a special meeting as soon as possible after that to get a final document approved.
I've been to a lot of special meetings. I'd love to get this resolved in a regular meeting as soon as possible.
Councilmember Starbuck.
Well, just food for thought here. I would suggest we approve it. It shows what we are doing. There's no doubt about that. But what an ideal opportunity to go with our special meeting that is dealing with exactly this. I'm just saying, you know, rather than go to the wire on it, it would make sense to go ahead and approve it. I know it's not what you or some others on council would want, but at this point, it is the true picture of where we are with this general plan.
Are we allowed to amend as we progress? To the year? At least Appendix B, or is there?
This is a report to the state telling them where we are in our progress of complying with our general plan. So amending it after we submit it doesn't really make sense. We just submit a new report next April 1st telling them how much more progress we made.
I just haven't seen what Councilmember Bridges' concerns are, and if it was something we had to do that, I just wonder if that was something
I'm willing to compromise, but there's stuff in here that says, you know, there's no progress to date, and we're 15 years into this. There's things in here that say we're ongoing doing them that I know for a fact we're not ongoing doing. You know, so I'm willing to compromise and we'll go forward and do what you want, but you know, we're attesting to something that is not correct.
Well, I guess my question would be, shall we or should we?
Always the funny guy. Okay.
Mayor Mosby, one of the concerns that I understand Councilmember Bridge to have is with regards to some of our outdated implementation measures. As you know, implementation measures are adopted at the very beginning. When you adopt the general plan, you set those implementation measures. And then following that, we report out annually in the status column. So you'll see that some of those statuses show we're not doing anything towards that implementation measure. I don't disagree that it'd be lovely to change those implementation measures, but those are general plan amendments. You're changing the general plan when you change an implementation measure, which requires public hearings, public input, much of what we talked about during the ad hoc special meeting earlier tonight. So you have an opportunity to change these things, but it's during that general plan amendment discussion. So probably just something to keep in mind as you have the next special meeting about that item.
Well, just for clarification, most of my concerns are in status, not in the actual terms. Now, I do have a concern if the status says we're doing something we're not, or that we haven't done a darn thing on this in 15 years, but we're still on the hook for it because we just spent all of this evening talking about the importance of the general plan. So like I say, I'm willing to compromise this, but you know, I've brought the point up, this is not accurate. And, but if we want to pass it and send it up to the state that we assess it, I'll go along. I'm not going to fight that.
Councilmember Ball.
And just to be clear, I'm not interested in bypassing any of Councilmember Bridges' concerns. I just want us to be conscious of the timeline and to make sure that we understand what we have to do to get it across the finish line. But again, accuracy is important, and I'd love to have that discussion and us talk about how to clean some of that up. I do remember when it does come to status and some things haven't moved for 10 or 15 years, I do remember 10 or 15 years ago, the city not having a lot of resources, had a lot of ideas, a lot of capital improvement, et cetera, but we didn't move on anything because there wasn't any money. So again, I know some of it is related to that.
Somebody should make a motion if they want to.
I had a couple statements to put out there. I think some of the important numbers that come along in this is, one is on page 18. I think it's very curious to see that a family of 4 in Santa Barbara County, low income, $130,000 a year. So I don't know how many of the people out there feel that low income means $130,000 a year. That's and this is one of the complications that happens is when we tie in the city of Santa Barbara, being the county as a whole, and why so many of the people in our community fall through the cracks. So I don't think, I think if you're in Lompoc and your family of 4 doing $130,000 a year, you're probably feeling pretty good. But anyhow, I think one of the other things, and important, but I do have a question about that, is we had last year, and our arena number is 2,200 remaining needed for arena, 2,200 housing units. And the way we're going, it'll be 50 years before we meet those housing numbers at the rate we're going. And we had 2 single-family residents built last year. 2 for all these guys looking for a new house. And we had, I'm not quite sure how, but 22 ADUs that were above moderates. How does an ADU, a converted garage, maybe Mr. Stones, you could answer that. How does a converted garage or another ADU qualify as above moderate?
My understanding is based on rental prices. So we're making an assumption that they're just renting it out at the top value. So that's why we just stuck it in that category.
So a 300 square foot garage is now one of our moderate housing units. I just, for the record, I think that's astonishing that we are living in a garage, a 300 square foot, and because they're giving us $2,200 a month rent or something for a garage, that we're supposed to get excited that we're meeting our above moderate numbers. Another thing that's astonishing is the number of Section 8 vouchers. The county has 2,925 Section 8 vouchers, of which 794 in Lompoc. That means 27% of the town. We're 10% of the population. That's quite astonishing that they're doing that. I mean, because the voucher, I think they should share as much in Santa Barbara as they should share in Lompoc. Somebody with a voucher should have the ability to get down there as well. Those are some of the interesting stats that I had in there. I just wanted to get out there. But if you feel there's some status issues, were you able to talk with staff at all on?
Yes, we were able to talk for a few minutes, but not enough time to really address the issue. But in the interest of expediency, I'll make a motion that we accept staff recommendation.
Okay, you ready? Motion. We have a bridge ball again. First and second. You guys are quick. All right, let's go ahead and vote. That passes 5-0. Heck else do we have? Oh, we've got
I have to leave.
solar panels. Number 7.
I believe I have to recuse myself due to locations of property close to this.
Conflicts of interest.
Conflict of interest.
That's right.
How many more have we got?
17. We're close.
Just kidding.
So number 7, Robin Dickerson, you're up. This is about purchase order to American Solar and Electric Solutions to buy $731,000 of solar panels, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just if you could give us a little more synopsis of what we got going on?
The city of Lompoc received a, what is it, the low carbon,
Transit Operation Program Funds.
right. And we've had that since about 2018. And over the years, we've added to the grant and we've accumulated interest. Unfortunately, we've extended that grant as far as we can extend it, and we're unfortunately up against a deadline to either spend it or lose it. So that brings us to the issuing of the bid invitation, we only received 2 bids. Most of the companies didn't want to bid for just solar panels. They wanted to do the whole thing. Unfortunately, we are not at the stage in the project that we could do the whole thing. So this was an opportunity to spend funds that we had received. And this was the direction we headed with the solar panels.
Okay, so we're looking at 4,212 solar panel units.
Yes,
It's a lot of units.
it is a lot of units.
By my calculations, 134,784 square feet. It's a lot of square footage.
There's a lot of square footage. This project has not been fully designed because of some of the changes in code updates. We're going to have to go back in, and that's going to be coming to council at a later date to look at bringing it into compliance with the 2022 building code. And when we do that, we're required to put in some EV chargers. Before, we were looking at just infrastructure for future EV charging, but because of where we are with the codes nowadays, we're actually required to implement some of that as opposed to just plan for it.
So I guess my curiosity is, where are you going to store these things if you buy them? If you get them, I know you want to delay it as long as you can, but there's 130 tons of solar panels by weight.
There's only about 200 pounds, or 2,000 pounds.
There's 6,173, or 61.73 pounds, but you have 4,200 of them.
Right.
Where are you going to store these?
Okay, we've got a few options. One option is to do it at the corporate yard. And we're looking for about 2,000 square feet to store the panels. They come 31 panels to a pallet. And then they come 20 pallets that are strapped together. There's going to be 7 trucks that are going to deliver the
panel
panels.
size you have written here, these are roughly 90 inch, roughly 4 by 8 in
Right.
size, 4 foot by 8 foot.
Right.
It appears to be a lot bigger than what you're identifying. That's a lot of panels.
It's a lot of panels. When we put this out to bid, we had no idea how many panels we were going to get.
You got a great price, what, 37 cents a watt or something like that?
31 cents, well,
31
32 cents is the one we elected.
When I
But
put mine in, it
that's-
was $4 a watt, so I mean, they've
Well,
really come down.
When we originally looked at putting this out to bid, a couple years ago, we were about 10 times, the panels that we were estimating were about 10 times more than what we're getting for them today. So
Yeah.
the cost has come down considerably.
So it's 2,200 watts of power at peak, or 22.2 million watts of
Yes.
power. Where are you going to put all this power?
We are going to use the site itself. We're going to be adding canopies that were not part of the original project. Then the solar panels will go on top of the canopies. We're also looking at using some of JM Mansfield Park, which is right next door, and we'll be putting some canopies up over the parking.
Okay, my next question, all the other components that come with the panels, where are you going to get, the transformers, the switches, inverters, converters, everything else? Do you have funding for that too as well?
There are portions of the project that are funded. There's additional grants that are going to allow us to pay for additional solar in the terms of millions of dollars.
So you think you're covered with all that and the structure as well?
Yes.
I mean, it's, again, like I say, it's 134,000 square foot of panels. It's a lot of panels. So the next question is, I know with the city of Lompoc and tying into the grid, are you going to tie into the grid at all, or is this just?
No, we would look at tying in the grid. The thing is, this project still is under development as far as design goes. And these are the questions that are very valid. We're in the process of trying to figure those out with our architectural team that is on board. And as we move forward in design, we will utilize what we have available. We recognize that this is not a complete system, but we were at a point where we can buy solar panels and move forward without losing the grant, knowing that we are going to be going through design. And we've got options for where we're going to store them. We've got options for how we're going to be able to utilize the panels. And none of that's been tied down yet, but will be here before the end of the year.
I just don't want you stuck with all these tons of panels and no place to go with them and have them get stuck out in the weather and and rodents, fires, whatever, and damaging them. I mean, that's kind of my concern, that you have $700,000 of panels and
So
putting a tarp over them is not the solution.
We've got some covered areas down at the corporation yard. There's a possibility of using a warehouse at Vandenberg Space Force Base.
Okay.
And we've got some potential, although it's probably not the top, to look at doing some stuff out at the airport.
So the other big question that I had is tying into the grid and such. Have you talked with the utility director or electric or something to see if it's even feasible at that site to do something like that? Or is that something that even the city, I mean, going in and hooking up is not, it's a big burden. It's not simple to even put a small little solars on your house to connect up. Anybody? Utility director? I can't see your light, apologize.
We had some discussions this afternoon about it. The way that it would be likely implemented, it would be under our regular G1 rate. And we would probably do a evaluation of any kind of system interference to make sure that it would be compatible with the current system and would not impact other customers.
How much infrastructure would you have to build out at that location? Are there?
That location is on the largest circuit that we have connected to the receiving station. So it's ideally suited for being on our largest circuit.
So I kind of assume you're getting the panels, but to charge electric buses down the road? Is that one of the assumptions?
It's to charge electric buses that will be coming in probably before the facility is completed.
And so the problem is during the day when the sun is charging, these buses are out driving around the streets. So how would you charge the buses if they weren't there?
The buses will be charged probably at night, so we're going to be looking at some sort of battery backup system.
So there appears to be a lot of, it's more like a rush order, and we've got to spend this money and get this. And you have a lot of ideas, but we don't really have the plans. Is that what I'm getting?
That's-
Yet.
Yet.
Because I know the public is very concerned if you're going to put a big battery pack over here, and maybe there are other alternatives that you're putting in somewhere and then
Well,
put it
if
back off
it's-
the grid.
If it's like, even with the solar panels, what we're seeing with solar nowadays is things are continuously changing. The batteries are probably changing more so than the solar panels. And that's part of the reason we did not elect to buy a battery backup system or something as part of the solar panels.
No.
And we wanted to just focus on the solar panels. And then what we're going to do with future funding is look at completing the system.
Okay, well, I just wanted to get my concerns out there. When I
No,
saw that, I get it, you got money, you got to spend it, and you're doing that. Maybe we could be creative and keep some of the other ideas open of what, how to use it. Sometimes it's better to use the power directly than to, right now, I guess there's a surplus of power. The shortage of power is from 5 to 9 across everything when the sun's gone and everybody's trying to plug in. So maybe we can be creative. I know we have a couple facilities that they can burn a lot of power, and we might be creative that, again, I'm trying to see how the public benefits by doing this. I do have some ideas how the public can directly benefit out of this, as well as transit could benefit out of this in the future.
Well,
so.
right now, with where we are in the project, we'd be happy to hear some of those ideas so that now's the time to start incorporating some of this stuff, because we are trying to get to the finish line with design so we can get the building permits being processed. So we're open to suggestions and ideas. We're willing to hear them. And really, if we can all work together and come up with a project that works for the whole community, it's a win-win for everybody.
We need to look how many cars have their windows hit there at JM Park too with baseballs. That might not be the best place for solar panels too, so. And there's one correction. I talked to the guys that said it wasn't that big of a deal, but in your total price in here, and I ran this over with Mr. Luther, Mr. Deering, their calculator worked like mine too. That was on the total on the bid invitation there.
And
Did they run it by you?
I caught that when we were evaluating the bids. And basically what's happened is we had a bottom line dollar amount. They had to get the tax in there. So.
They were
no matter-
extrapolating backwards.
Yeah, so no matter what, we're not paying more than $731,000.
All right, very good. Councilmember Ball, question.
So just maybe I think it's exciting. Ultimately, anytime we can maybe take advantage of the sun. Some people think it's too foggy in Lompoc, but talk to somebody that lives in Michigan or lives in Canada, they're jealous that we have so much sunshine here. Then I start thinking about, well, if this was to all play out and this whole thing was designed and built, can you talk to me about potential, albeit speculative, positive impacts on our own electric utility? I mean, would this help us maybe sustain rates and maybe bring some more power back in that keeps our rates from going up as quickly? Is this adding another resource that we don't currently have? Are we collecting it all and giving it back to the grid? Maybe you can fill in a couple of those gaps for me. That's a lot.
We are working with our electrical department to figure out how we're going to bring all this together. We will be purchasing, I think right now we're proposing 4 transformers to be built on the project itself. There will be several meters, so it's not like we've got 1 meter on the project, so that we can utilize and take advantage of some of the billing and stuff that you can't do for larger purchases of power or larger usages of power. So there's opportunities there to work together and see what we might be able to do to help make things better all the way around for everybody involved.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
If I may,
Yes.
just a couple things that will probably benefit the community. I can't give you a dollar amount because it's just, but the transmission cost to get power from our facilities to Lompoc is ever growing. So having some local generation of this magnitude would reduce that. And as was suggested in November, increase in our total sales is beneficial to everybody because we are able to reduce our per unit costs slightly. So those two things are benefits of having a fairly large system in that location. As was mentioned, 10 hours a day they're using our house power, so they'll be using the city's system, and only during the day when we can reduce our transmission costs is when they would be producing power for themselves and for our neighbors. So that's just a couple of, off the top of my head, benefits.
Thank you for that. So, I mean, I see the benefit of it, but it sounds like there's a lot of work and a lot of details that have to come into place. But I will share with Mr. Mosby, it will not be an exciting day for Lompoc to look over at the yard in 5 or 7 years and look at a big stack of, well, we didn't really spend our money on it, but we wasted an opportunity. So again, I'd love to see us all come together and figure out how to create something that's practical, that helps our community sustain themselves. Thank you.
Any other questions before we go to public comment? No public comment on that one. We'll go ahead and close public comment. And any other deliberations or a motion to approve? Okay, we got a first by Ball, a second by Vega. Let's go ahead and vote. And we got 4 yeses and 1 abstention. You got yourself 130 tons of solar panels. Best of luck. I want to see how it gets on 6 trucks. That's a lot of panels. Welcome back. Thank you. You left your microphone on. All the time you were there, I was waiting for you. We're going to the last 2 minutes of oral communications. One more time. Seeing nobody rise and nobody call, we're going to council comments and meeting reports. Who would like to be first? Councilmember Vega.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Rich.
No report.
Councilmember Ball.
So is this an appropriate time to make a council request? So the community has shown up. We as a city have put forth and with all due respect to the chief, we put a token of effort about clarifying some of our positions as a police department with regard to the immigration issue. But this community is asking for leadership to take a step and to put their name on the dotted line of how they feel about this issue. Again, we all have our opinions and feelings. I won't go too crazy on this, but I feel strongly that I'm lucky to live in Lompoc. I'm a lucky white person here. Majority of my community doesn't feel the same security that I feel to wake up every day, especially now. So I think, and I try to be empathetic and put myself in the shoes of a young person. And I think, well, what if I left my kid at home and my kid just stressed every single day that I might not come back simply because of the choice I made to better the life of my family? So I know this is a complicated issue. This is a political issue for some people, and I completely understand that. I do think it's reasonable. The folks that have shown up are my neighbors. They're not aliens, they're my neighbors. So I feel strongly, I'd love to request that council, however it lands, I want council to be on the hook for this. What do we feel about this? What message are we sending back to the community? Doesn't mean, if you're against it, that doesn't mean that we don't hear you, we don't understand those issues, or that I don't hear and see both sides. I get it. But it frustrates me that there is so much concern and anxiety in our community. There's always bad apples somewhere in every part of our community. But there's a lot of hardworking people that have to stay in the shadows and have to be scared on the daily about their family. And they have to make a choice every day of whether or not they call the police because they might have heard a rumor that stressed them out that might not have even been accurate. So again, if our goal is to have a healthy community, to have a community that looks out for each other, then I think we could do better. And I'm willing to say, like, this is one of those issues where I don't want to look back in 10 years and think, I just, didn't want to necessarily address it. I don't know if council is willing to do that or not, but at least for me, and I'll talk to anyone that disagrees. Look, it's okay to be disagreeable. It's okay to have your opinions and to be passionate about those, and I'll always listen, and I'll have my reasons for my positions, but this city has asked leadership to take a role. And for better or worse, I think we should do that. So my council request is that I love to see this item come back as an agenda item. That's what the community has asked for, and for better or for worse. Everyone gets their opportunity to speak public comment. That's how we do it. It's the civics here.
I'll give you a second on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
You've got your three.
I have three, so thank you. My council request, I thought I was pretty clear. Let's get this back as quickly as possible as an agenda item so that council can make its stance known to the community.
Yeah, I believe you got your three. Okay. I guess he has nothing more.
No other reports? That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Starbuck.
I finally have no reports.
So I attended the sub-regional meeting, and there was an interesting discussion on asphalt, and one of the reasons, the funding for asphalt, and one of the reasons why what we put as a priority of asphalt would be safety and to get somewhere. Well, through their rating scale that they have out there, and I'll leave this posted somewhere or accessed somewhere, and unfortunately, in the scale, on a 90-point scale, safety only gets 10 points. Reduction of vehicle miles travels gets 10 points, up to. Accessibility, 10 points. Mode shift, 10 points. So if you're taking cars off the street and riding bicycles, you get more points. Infill development, you get 10 points. Freight sustainability and efficiency, that means electrification of freight and such, 10 points. More electrical infrastructure, another 10 points. Equity and public engagement, 10 points. And climate risk, 10 points. So we wonder why a lot of our projects, like another lane on Highway 246 passing, so people stop dying, or things like straightening out San Lucia Canyon and stuff. And anyhow, the difficulties of getting things that we consider important, which is safety. And as an example, this is what the passing lanes on 246 ranked, and this is one of Caltrans' funding mechanisms, and it's order signed by your governor, Gavin Newsom, and this is the CSIS method of aligning their matrix for getting your grants. So another lane on Highway 246, so of a lot of the people we know to stop dying, but a passing lane, only scored 20 out of 90 points. You know, where programs down in Santa Barbara, because they have levels of more connectivity, they bounce them to the top of the list with 50 of 90 points, because of course they're connected to infrastructure, are driving by and through there, where us out here, we don't. So those of you guys want to know why we don't get some of the things funded with certain mechanisms, safety is no longer a major priority anymore. So hopefully we can maybe write the governor and straighten something out and start saving some lives. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting to April 1st at 6:30 PM.